Good afternoon. I am Priyanka, Assistant Professor, Department of Digital Cyber and Forensic Science. Let's discuss about the topic cryptography and network security. This session covers the basics of the science of cryptography and also it explains how programmers and network professionals can use cryptography to maintain the privacy of computer data. So let's start with the origin of cryptography. It moves on to explain about security attacks, security services, security algorithms included steam cipher and block cipher, symmetric and asymmetric key crypto system, symmetric key algorithms, DES, triple DES, AES, IDEA, Blowfish, RC5. First, we need to know what is cryptography and what is security. Cryptography. Nowadays, the word security is very popular, powerful and essential because every day people transmit the data from their gadgets or devices and expect the data should be secured one and it also a mandatory one. Here, one side strangers try to hack the data like personal information or account details etc. from others, and another side developers try to protect the data via various techniques. So who are they and why are they doing? Let's discuss. What is cryptography? A cryptography is basically a technology. For example, if I have written a text ABCD, if I encrypt this, encrypt is nothing but convert into a code, especially to prevent unauthorized access, or you may call it as turn into a code in a way that it becomes impossible to understand. So that is what we call cryptography. Well, turning something into a secret code that only the receiver and the sender can understand, or the another form, the definition is art of science encompassing the principles, methods of transforming an intelligible message into one that is unintelligible and then retransforming that message back to its original form. That is called cryptography. Then network security. Network security is the method of preventing computer networks from malicious and unauthorized access to information, which is turned prevents misuse, modification or disruption of data. It is used to maintain the confidentiality and integrity of the network resources. It involves techniques like authentication, encryption, firewall, etc. While network security refers to securing and protecting the network and data for ensuring the confidentiality of data. Next, we are going to discuss about a model of network security. It is nothing but a security related transformation on the information to be sent. Example, it includes the encryption of message which scramble. Scramble is nothing but confuse the data, the message, so that it unreadable by the opponent, and the addition of a code based on the contents of the message which can be used to verify the identity of the sender. This general model shows that there are four basic tasks in designing a particular security service. First one, designing an algorithm, generate the secret information, develop method for the distribution and sharing, specify a protocol. Even though the security system are more secure, but the people who can ready to do some unlawful, illegal, criminal things of other data. Let me explain difference between the hackers and intruders. Who is hacker? The hacker can be someone who, with no harmful, hurtful, damaging intent, simply gets satisfaction from breaking an entire computing system. Who is intruder? The intruder can be dissatisfied, irritated one who wishes to damage or criminal things, who seeks to exploit computer assets or data for financial gain. Programs can present two kinds of threat, one for human and another one for software. For human, information access threat, service threat, and for software, virus. Virus nothing but unwanted logic hidden for software attack. Here we will study two terms related to data security, that is cryptography and network security. We will also learn the importance of both cryptography and network security, and we will look at the application of both. Cryptography is a term used in data communication that refers to protecting the private information shared between two parties. Say for an example, if a sender who wants to transfer some sensitive data to the receiver in such a way that any party intercepting or eavesdropping on the communication channel cannot extract the data. The objective of this simple crypto system is that at the end of the process, only the sender and receiver will know the plain text. Let's discuss about the basic concepts and terms used in cryptography. Plain text. The original intelligible message, cipher text. The transformed message, cipher. An algorithm for transforming an intelligible message into one that is unintelligible by transposition or substitution methods. Next one is key. Some critical information used by the cipher, it known only to the sender and receiver. The next encipher, which is nothing but encode, the process of converting plain text to cipher text using a cipher and a key. Next, decipher, which is nothing but decode, the process of converting cipher text back into the plain text using a cipher and also a key. Cryptanalysis, the study of principles and methods of transforming an unintelligible message back into an intelligible message without knowledge of the key, also called as code breaking. Cryptology, both cryptography and cryptanalysis. Then code, an algorithm for transforming an intelligible message into an unintelligible one using a code book. Let us now discuss the importance and application of cryptography and network security. Principles of cryptography. The main principles of cryptography are confidentiality, data integrity, authentication, non-repetition. First one is confidentiality. It refers to rules and regulations that make sure that the data is restricted to certain people or certain places. Data integrity. It ensures that the data remains accurate and consistent over its whole transmission process. The next, authentication. It ensures that the data is being claimed by the person who is related to it. Non-repetition. It ensures that a person or a party related to transmission process cannot deny the authenticity of their signature on the data or the transmission of a message. Cryptography is very important for protecting private information from third-party access. Some of the importance of cryptography are for secure communication, data transmission and transaction, to safeguard personal information, for ensuring the data confidentiality, for the protection of data from unauthorized access, to authenticate the source of data, and to establish trust between two communicating parties. Importance of network security. To protect sensitive information safe from cyber attack. This is important to secure sensitive data safe from cyber attack and to ensure that the network is usable, can be trusted. Network security protects the data of the client by ensuring that hackers cannot get into your network easily. Network security also improves the performance of the network by ensuring that the system is not slowed down due to redundant tools and data. To protect the network from a ransom attack, ransomware attack is nothing but it is a common type of attack that block access to your data until you pay the ransom. Next, cryptography applications. Authentication, digital signature, timestamping, electronic money, encryption, decryption in email, Instagram encryption, WhatsApp encryption, SIM card authentication. Next, security, network security application. First one, protection of network, protection from intrusions, to protect from threats, protection of transfer from breaches. Next, we are going to discuss about independent dimension and cryptography. Cryptographic systems are generally classified along three independent dimensions. So, types of operation used for transforming plain text to cipher text. All the encryption algorithms are based on two general principles. One is substitution, another one is transposition. Substitution, in which element in the plain text is mapped into another element, and transposition, in which element in the plain text are rearranged. The number of keys used. If the sender and receiver use the same key, then it's said to be a symmetric key or single key or conventional encryption. If the sender and receiver uses different key, then it is said to be a public key encryption. Next, we are going to discuss about block cipher and stream cipher. A block cipher processes the input and block of elements at a time, producing output block for each input block. Stream cipher, it processes the input elements continuously, producing output element one at a time as it goes along. Next, types of cryptography. Cryptography is classified into two categories based on the types of key and encryption algorithm. One is symmetric key cryptography, secret key. Then another one is asymmetric key cryptography, which is nothing but public key. Let's take a closer look at each type. Symmetric key cryptography. It also known as secret key cryptography. Private key encryption encrypts data using a single key. Then only the sender and receiver know. The secret key must be known by both the sender and the receiver, but should not be sent across the channel. However, if the hacker obtains the key, deciphering the message will be easier. When the sender and the receiver meet on the handset, their key should be addressed. Also, this is not an ideal method because the key remains the same. It is simple to deliver a message to a certain receiver. The data encryption framework DS algorithm is the most widely used for symmetric key system. For instance, Tom is sending a message to Mary that he does not want anyone else to see. He would like to encrypt his message. That is simply because Tom and Mary exchange the same key. They will use the same key for encrypting and decrypting. Here, how it works. First, Tom encrypts his signal with his key. His message has now been encrypted and scrambled. It cannot be read by anyone. When Mary receives the encrypted message, she decrypts it with the same key so she can read it in plain text. Asymmetric key cryptography. Asymmetric cryptography, also known as public key cryptography, consists of two keys, a private key which is used by the receiver and a public key which is announced to be public. Two different keys are used in this method to encrypt and decrypt the data. These two distinct keys are mathematically linked. They are sold in pairs. The public key is accessible to anyone, whereas the private key is only accessible to the person who generates these two keys. For example, Bob wants to send an encrypted message to Alice and they agree to encrypt his message using public key encryption. The receiver initiates public key encryption to encrypt the sender's message. The receiver, not the sender, initiates the public key and to encrypt the sender's message. Everyone has access to the public key. The receiver, Alice, is the only one who has access to the private key. The following is how it works. Let's see the steps below. Step 1. Alice generate two keys, one public and one private. Alice store the public key on a public key server that anyone can access. Step 2. Alice informs Bob for the location of her public key. Then Bob obtains Alice's public key by following Alice's instruction. Step 4. Bob composes a message and encrypts it with Alice's public key. Bob sends Alice the encrypted message via the network. Step 5. Alice decrypts Bob's message using her private key. Although Alice's private key can confirm that no one read or changed the document while it was in transit, it cannot confirm the sender. Because Alice's public key is available to the public, anyone can use it to encrypt the document and send it to Alice while posing a bomb. Next concept is digital signature. The digital signature is another technique that is required to prove the sender. Digital signature in cryptography. A digital signature is equivalent to a handwritten signature. It is an electronic verification of the sender. Digital signature are commonly used for software distribution, financial transaction. The digital signature serves three purposes. One is authentication, non-repudiation, integrity. Authentication is nothing but the process or action of proving the sender in cryptography, and then non-repudiation. It is nothing but the assurance that someone cannot deny the validity. Then integrity, the quality of the message sent and received as it is. Next example, let's look at an example of cryptography to see what it is. Sam wishes to communicate with his colleagues, Yari, who is currently residing in another country. The message contains the trade secrets that should not be accessed or seen by any third party. He sends the message via a public platform such as Skype, WhatsApp. The foremost aim is to create a secure connection. Assume AV, a hacker who has obtained access to the message. AV can now change or corrupt the message before it reaches Yari. AV alters the message that Yari receives. Neither Sam nor Yari are aware of the underground work. These outcomes are dreadful. Now cryptography can help. It can aid in the security of connection between Sam and Yari. Now that we understand what cryptography is, let us learn how cryptography aids in the security of message. Sam first converts a readable message or plain text into a series of digits using various cryptographic algorithms to protect the message. He then encrypts the message with a key. The cipher text is a term used in cryptography. Sam uses the internet to send an encrypted message to Yari. If AV gains access to it and modify the message before it reaches Yari. Yari now requires a key to decrypt Sam's message. The message can be converted from cipher text to plain text using the decryption key. Because AD altered the plain text, the result of the decryption will be the original plain text as an error. The error indicates that the message has been changed and is no longer the original message. As a result, encryption is critical for secure communication. Plain text is simply a human readable message, text or information, and cipher text it is the output of the input plain text that gets covered after the encryption process. Basically, cipher text is a type of plain text that is unreadable. How does cryptography work? The function of cryptography revolves around cryptographic algorithms. Cryptography algorithms are ciphers or mathematical functions that we are combined with keys such as phrase, digit, word, etc. to encrypt the text. The effectiveness depends on the strength of the cryptographic algorithm and the secret level of the key. Multiple complex combinations of algorithm and key boost the effectiveness of a crypto system. Some major techniques of cryptography are listed below. One is steganography. One of the oldest techniques of cryptography, steganography involves hiding secret information or message with no confidential status files in order to avoid detection. Decades ago, steganography was not as sophisticated as it is now. Earlier, invisible ink, slight variation, etc. were used to hide messages. But with the advent of technology, steganography has evolved as one of the commonly used techniques in cryptography. Second one is hashing. Hashing converts data to be hidden into a unique string. Irrespective of the type or form of a data, hashing can be used to hide it. Once hashing is performed, it cannot be decrypted by using just keys. A simple codes. A language is used to hide the meaning of the sentence written in a different languages. The message is written in such a way that it's hard to decipher. In a majority of cases, alphabets are used to make the message more complex to read. Last one, symmetric encryption. It is mainly used for encrypting and decrypting electronic data through a secret key. Substitution cipher from the base of symmetric encryption. However, nowadays, symmetric encryption is much more than just substitution ciphers. Symmetric encryption is largely used when the message to be encrypted is quite sizable. Next, asymmetric encryption. This type of encryption uses two keys. One is public and private to encrypt and decrypt plain text. Anyone with the secret key can decrypt the message. Hence, asymmetric encryption uses two corresponding keys to ensure secrecy. Then cryptographic algorithm. Cryptographic algorithm are the means of altering data from a readable form to a protected form and back to the readable form. Cryptography algorithms are used for important tasks such as data encryption, authentication and digital signatures. Symmetric key algorithm. Some of the cryptography algorithms that are more recognizable to the general public are symmetric algorithm. Several of these such as DES, triple DES and AES or have been in regular use by the US government. Others are standard algorithm for protecting highly sensitive data. Next, we are going to discuss about security attacks. Security attacks refers to the set of actions that the threat actors perform to gain any unauthorized access, cause damage to systems, computers, or steal data or compromise the computer network, or you may call it as an attempt to gain unauthorized access to information, resource or service, or to cause harm or damage to information system. These attacks are classified into passive attack and active attack. Passive attack emphasize on prevention rather than detection, which is nothing but in the nature of eavesdropping, monitoring, transmissions. The goal of the opponent is to obtain information that is being transmitted, called passive attack. Then release of message content or snooping. It is very simple to understand. Example, an electronic mail message and a transferred file may contain sensitive or confidential information. We should prevent others from learning the content of these transmissions by encoding the message with code language. Then traffic analysis. Suppose that we had a way of masking the contents of message or other information traffic so that opponents, even if they captured the message, could not extract the information from the message. The common techniques for masking content is encryption. If we had encryption protection in place, an opponent might be able to observe the pattern of this message. The opponent could determine the location and identity of the communicating host and could observe the frequency and length of message being exchanged. This information might be useful in guessing the nature of the communication that was taking place. Next, active attacks. It involves a modification. Active attacks involves a modification of the data stream or the creation of false stream and can be subdivided into 4 categories. First, masquerade. It takes place when one entry pretends to be different. Second one, replay. Passive capture of the data unit and its subsequent transmission to produce an unauthorized effect. Third one is modification of message. Some portion of a legitimate message is altered or the messages are delayed or reordered to produce an unauthorized effect. Next, denial of service. It prevents or inhibits the normal use or management of communication facilities. This attack may have a specific target. For example, an entity may suppress all messages directed to a particular destination. Another form of service denial is the disruption of an entire network, either by disabling the network or by overloading it with messages so as to degrade performance. Next, security services. There are various types of security services present in the market. The service provides security against unauthorized access, data leaks and data corruption. This service also protects against denial of sending or receiving communication. Some of their features are integrity. Integrity means protecting data against unauthorized modification. If a person sends a file through a secure communication line, some third party cannot tap into that line and change the file's content. If changes are made, mechanisms are incorporated to detect corruption in data. Next, non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means protecting against the denial of sending or receiving during communication. An example where non-repudiation is implemented as a digital signature or used in online transaction to ensure that after the transaction is over, one cannot deny that they have not sent the information required for the transaction or the authenticity of the signature. Next, data confidentiality. It is nothing but protecting a user's data from unauthorized access. Data confidentiality is important because it can result in unintentional or intentional loss of a user's privacy. The implementation of data confidentiality is done through data encryption. This encryption is done through various methods which use cryptography to encode the data into an unintelligible form. Next, access control. Access control is an essential part of any organization. Access control means preventing everyone from viewing or modifying some data. Access control is implemented in a layered format where every level of access control has come privileged and assigned to it. Net availability. Availability means that the network is always available to the user. The availability is guaranteed by periodical hardware and software maintenance. The software and hardware are also upgraded if the need arises. The software and hardware upgrades ensure that the system is always available and that any attempts to take out the network are effectively tackled. The security mechanism must protect the system from cyber attack like DDoS and DOS. Authentication. Authentication means verifying the identity of a user. Authentication is almost present everywhere. It makes sure that the user is who they claim to be. To provide strong authentication, various cryptography concepts are used. Some ideas include using one-time password, password strength detectors, authentications and more. Cryptography and network security are two of the network terms used for protecting and security of data and network. Cryptography is used to protect the private information shared between two communicating parties from a third party. Confidentiality, data integrity, authentication and non-repudiation are the main principles of cryptography. Then network security. Network security is the action taken or procedure followed to protect the computer network. Cryptography ensures data confidentiality and provides data protection from unauthorized access. Network security protects the sensitive data of clients and it protects the network from ransomware. This is what about the conclusion of cryptography and network security. So viewers, in this session we discussed about cryptography, network security, security attacks, security services, security algorithms, symmetric and asymmetric crypto system, symmetric key algorithms, model for network security. That's it. I will meet you soon with another topic. Thank you.